What happens when two of Hollywood's most approachable, well-loved figures sit down for what's supposed to be a breezy daytime chat? You expect warmth, nostalgia, maybe a few laughs. What no one anticipates is a sudden turn into deeply uncomfortable territory, one that transforms polite conversation into one of the most awkward moments daytime television has seen in years. Before we break down what actually went wrong, make sure you subscribe and drop a comment below. What do you think really sparked this clash? The studio hums with that familiar, cozy glow. When Valerie Bertinelli walks onto the set, Drew Barrymore is already on her feet, arms wide, radiating the effortless enthusiasm she's made her trademark. She pulls Valerie into a full, lingering hug, warm, friendly, seemingly sincere. The audience applauds. For a split second, everything feels exactly how it should. Two women shaped by decades of fame. Two lives marked by reinvention, public scrutiny, heartbreak, and resilience. On paper, this is an easy win. Drew settles into her chair, legs crossed, leaning forward with that curious, almost conspiratorial look. Valerie, I'm so happy you're here. I feel like we have so much to talk about. Valerie smiles, gracious but measured. There's a flicker of caution in her eyes, almost imperceptible. Thank you, Drew. I'm happy to be here. Drew eases into that familiar confessional tone, the one she uses when she wants to go deeper. I've been following your journey, especially these past few years. The divorce, the self-discovery, the cookbooks. You've been so open about everything. It's honestly inspiring. Thank you, Valerie says. Her smile stays, but it doesn't quite reach her eyes. It's been a journey, that's for sure. Drew nods eagerly. And what I love most is how honest you've been. You don't sugarcoat it. You share the good, the hard, the messy parts. People really connect with that. Well, Valerie replies carefully, when you've lived as long as we have and gone through what we have, there's no point pretending life is perfect. Life is messy. Authenticity matters. Exactly, Drew says, then she pauses. The kind of pause that signals a pivot. And speaking of authenticity, I want to ask you something I find fascinating. Valerie's expression tightens just slightly. You've talked a lot about body image. Your relationship with food, feeling like you were never enough, Drew continues. Do you think that came mostly from the industry? Or was it more internal? A subtle shift, a jaw set, a breath held. I think it's both, Valerie answers. The industry absolutely imposes impossible standards on women. But we also internalize those messages until they become our own. At some point, it's hard to tell where the pressure ends and your own voice begins. Drew leans in closer. Right. But here's what I'm curious about. You were on a hit sitcom for years. America loved you. And then you've said you felt like you disappeared. Do you think you put too much pressure on yourself to maintain that image? Was it really the industry, or was it you holding yourself to a standard that wasn't realistic? Silence. Valerie's smile disappears. That's a complicated question, Drew, she says, carefully controlled. When you're young and constantly told your worth is tied to how you look and how likable you are, it's not really a choice. You don't wake up one day and decide to do that. It's baked into the system. Sure, Drew jumps in quickly. But you also made choices. We all do. I'm just wondering, looking back, do you think you could have been kinder to yourself? Or do you feel like you had to go through all that to become who you are now? Valerie stiffens. I'm not sure what you're getting at, she says. Are you asking if my suffering was necessary? Drew senses the shift, but instead of easing up, she presses on, trying to sound relatable and landing somewhere closer to dismissive. No. I just mean sometimes we create narratives about our lives. And I'm wondering if the story you tell about yours is the whole picture, or if there's another perspective. Valerie straightens in her chair, hands gripping the armrests. Another perspective. Drew, this is my life. These are my experiences. I'm not creating a narrative. I'm sharing what actually happened to me. Of course, Drew says quickly. I'm not discounting that at all. I just think it's interesting how memory works and how pain can shape the way we see things. Maybe now, with some distance, you see it differently. The room goes still. The audience picks up on it instantly. This is no longer friendly curiosity. I've done a lot of therapy, Valerie says, calm but firm. I've done a lot of work on myself. I'm very clear about what happened and how it affected me. And I don't appreciate the implication that I'm misremembering or exaggerating my own experiences. Drew's eyes widen. She lifts her hands defensively. That's not what I'm saying, I swear. I'm just trying to explore how we process trauma and tell our stories. I think that matters. It does matter, Valerie replies, her voice sharpening. Which is why I'm very deliberate about how I talk about it. And I'm not interested in being psychoanalyzed on your show. I came here to talk about my cookbook. My life now. Not to defend whether my trauma was real enough or handled correctly. The air feels thick. Drew shifts, softening her voice. Trying to regain control, though something in her expression suggests she isn't ready to let it drop just yet. Okay, I hear you. I really do. But can I just say one more thing? I think it's relevant. Valerie presses her lips into a thin line. Go ahead. I've been really open about my own struggles, Drew says, and there's an edge in her voice, now subtle, defensive. I've talked about my childhood, my parents, the addiction, all of it. And what I've learned is that sometimes we hold on to our pain because it becomes part of who we are. She hesitates, then adds, so I'm just wondering truly, with love, if maybe you've held on to some of that pain longer than you needed to. The silence is immediate and crushing. Valerie stares at her, disbelief hardening into anger. Excuse me? Drew senses she's crossed a line, but instead of pulling back, she steps further in. I'm just saying, I've heard you talk about the same things for years. The divorce, the body image issues, feeling like you weren't enough. And at some point, don't you think it's time to move past it? To really let it go and step into who you are now without carrying all of that with you. Valerie's voice drops, icy and precise. You do not get to tell me when I'm done processing my trauma. You don't get to decide I've talked about it too much or that I should have moved on by now. Everyone heals at their own pace, and the idea that you can sit there and instruct me on how to live my life is frankly presumptuous. I'm not telling you how to live, Drew fires back, her voice rising. I'm having a conversation. I'm asking questions. Isn't that what we do here? We have real conversations. Real conversations require respect, Valerie snaps. And what you're doing right now isn't respectful. You're judging my healing under the banner of curiosity. What it actually feels like is that you think you've figured something out about me that I haven't tanned that's condescending. Color rises in Drew's face. I don't think that at all. I think you're strong and intelligent. I just think sometimes when we're in the public eye, we get trapped in patterns because that's what people expect from us. I'm wondering if you feel that pressure. Of course I feel pressure, Valerie says sharply. But that doesn't invalidate what I've been through. And it certainly doesn't mean I'm performing my trauma for an audience. Her voice steadies, deliberate. This is my life. These things happen to me. And I get to talk about them as much or as little as I choose, without being evaluated on whether I'm doing it right. Drew exhales. When she speaks again, her tone sounds wounded. You're being really defensive right now, and I don't understand why. I'm on your side. I've always been on your side. I'm trying to have an honest conversation. An honest conversation would involve you actually listening. Valerie replies, instead of forcing your own framework onto my experience. You keep calling it curiosity, but what you're really doing is projecting. Your way of healing isn't the universal standard. I'm not projecting, Drew says, and now her voice trembles. I'm trying to connect with you. I thought we could have a real moment, something meaningful, but instead you're shutting down and acting like I'm attacking you. Valerie lets out a short, humorless laugh. You just told me my pain is part of my identity and that I need to move on. How is that not an attack? Because I'm saying it with love, Drew insists, desperation slipping in. I care. I see you struggling, and I want you to be free. I am free, Valerie says firmly. And I don't need you to fix me or save me. What I need is respect. Don't rewrite my journey to fit your idea of what healing should look like. The audience is completely silent now. The discomfort hangs heavy, almost visible. Somewhere off camera, a producer is probably scrambling. Drew tries again, softer. Valerie, I'm sorry if I upset you. That truly wasn't my intention. I admire you. I think you've done incredible work. I just wanted to go deeper. Going deeper is fine, Valerie replies. Anger tightly contained. But this isn't that. This is an interrogation. You're questioning my choices, my truths, my lived experience. She holds Drew's gaze. And that's exactly how women get stuck. We're told we're too emotional, too sensitive, that we should be over things by now. And when we're not, we're accused of making it our identity. Drew opens her mouth, then closes it. That may not be what you mean, Valerie continues, but it is how it lands. And the fact that you keep defending yourself instead of acknowledging that you've hurt me, that tells me everything I need to know about this conversation. Drew's eyes glisten. I just wanted to help. I thought we could connect over shared experience. Our experiences aren't the same, Valerie says quietly, but firmly. And that's okay. But you can't use yours as a yardstick for mine. Drew nods slowly. For a moment, it almost looks like understanding. Then she says, I still think there's something here you're not seeing. I think there's a reason you're reacting so strongly. Valerie's eyes widen. Are you serious? I'm just saying if you weren't still holding on to something, this wouldn't be triggering you like this. Drew barely registers what's happening as Valerie stands. Wait, Valerie, sit down. Let's talk this out. There's nothing to talk about, Valerie says evenly. Anger unmistakably under the calm. And with that, the moment is gone. You're not listening to me, Valerie says. Her voice is steady, but there's steel underneath it. You're not hearing what I'm actually saying. And I'm not going to sit here and be told that my reaction to being disrespected is proof that I'm the problem. Drew rises from her chair, reaching out instinctively. Please, don't leave. This is exactly what I mean. You're walking away instead of staying and working through this. Valerie stops. Slowly, she turns back. The disbelief on her face is almost total. Walking away. Drew, I'm setting a boundary. There's a difference. I don't have to sit here and be psychoanalyzed by someone who seems convinced they already have all the answers. I don't think I have all the answers, Drew says, her voice fraying. But I do think we could learn from each other if you'd just give this a chance. If you'd be open to what I'm trying to say. I have been open, Valerie counters. I've been patient. But you keep pushing. And when I finally tell you you're crossing a line, you label me defensive or triggered. She holds Drew's gaze. Do you understand how manipulative that is? The word lands hard. Manipulative? Drew's face drains of color. Manipulative? I'm not manipulating you. I'm being honest. I'm being vulnerable. No, Valerie says firmly. You're using vulnerability as a shield. You wrap criticism in concern, and when I push back, you paint me as unreasonable. That is manipulation, whether you intend it or not. Drew's hands shake now. Tears spill into her eyes. I can't believe you're saying that. I invited you onto my show. I've supported you publicly, again and again. Now you're standing here calling me manipulative in front of my audience. You invited me on and then invalidated my experiences. Valerie fires back. Support doesn't count when it comes with conditions, when it's dependent on me healing the way you think I should. That's not fair, Drew protests. I never said there were conditions. I just wanted a real conversation. A deep one like I have with people all the time. Maybe that's the problem, Valerie replies. You think every conversation has to go deep. Sometimes people just want to be heard without being dissected. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is believe someone instead of digging for some hidden flaw. Drew wipes at her eyes, makeup smudging. I'm a talk show host, Valerie. My job is to ask questions, to get to the heart of things. If you didn't want a real conversation, why come on the show? I came on because I thought we were going to talk about my work and my life now, Valerie says evenly. I did not agree to be your therapy patient. And the fact that you think this is what a real conversation looks like is honestly concerning. The audience watches in stunned silence. Whispers ripple through the rows. Phones quietly rise despite the rules. This is the kind of moment television lives on and never quite recovers from. Drew steps closer, her voice pleading. Please, can we just sit down and start over? I know I said something wrong, and I want to fix it. But I can't if you leave. You can't fix this by starting over, Valerie replies. You fix it by acknowledging that you crossed a line. By admitting you don't actually know what's best for me or how I should process my life. By respecting that I'm the expert on my own experience. I do respect that, Drew insists quickly. I really do. I just think sometimes we need people to challenge us, to push us out of our comfort zones. That's how we grow. Valerie shakes her head. There's a difference between challenging someone and belittling them. What you did today was the latter. You implied I'm stuck, that I'm clinging to pain unnecessarily, that my reactions prove I'm unresolved. That's not growth, that's judgment. I'm not judging you, Drew snaps, anger finally cutting through. I'm exhausted by people accusing me of judgment when I'm just trying to connect. I show up vulnerable. I share everything. And this is what I get. This isn't about you, Valerie says sharply. This is about how you treated me. But you're turning yourself into the victim that tells me everything. Drew's jaw tightens. I'm not playing the victim. I'm defending myself. You're attacking me. I'm holding you accountable, Valerie replies. But you're so used to being praised for being authentic that you can't handle being challenged. The tension curdles. Drew's voice goes cold. You know what, Valerie? Maybe you're right, I overstepped. But maybe you're also so defensive about your past that you can't stand anyone questioning it. Maybe you've built your entire identity around being a victim, and that's why this threatens you. The audience gasps. Even Drew freezes hand flying to her mouth. I'm sorry. I didn't mean yes. You did, Valerie says quietly. Her face is unreadable now. You've been thinking that all along. You just finally said it out loud. She exhales. This right here's exactly what I meant. You don't see concern. You don't see care. You see judgment wrapped in softness. I do care, Drew pleads. That's why this hurts. If you cared, Valerie replies. Voice steady and final. You never would have said that. And with that, there's nowhere left to go. Asterisk, you're not listening to me, Valerie says, her voice unwavering. You're not hearing what I'm actually saying. And I'm not going to sit here and be told that my response to being disrespected somehow proves I'm the problem. Drew steps forward again, hands shaking as she reaches out. Please don't leave. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're walking away instead of staying and working through it. Valerie stops cold, turns back slowly. Walking away. She repeats, incredulous. No, Drew, I'm setting a boundary. There's a difference. I don't need to sit here and be psychoanalyzed by someone who clearly believes they already understand me better than I understand myself. I don't think I have all the answers, Drew says, her voice cracking. But I think if you'd just you'd just be open, we could actually learn something from each other. I have been open, Valerie replies. I've been patient. But every time I explain how what you're doing feels, you dismiss it. You call me defensive. You say I'm triggered. She holds her gaze. Do you realize how manipulative that is? The word hangs in the air. Drew recoils as if struck. Manipulative. I'm not manipulating you. I'm being honest. I'm being vulnerable. No, Valerie says calmly. You're using vulnerability as leverage. You frame your criticism as concern. And when I push back, you act like I'm unreasonable. That is manipulation, allure, or not. Tears spill into Drew's eyes. I invited you here. I've supported you publicly. And now you're standing on my stage accusing me of manipulating you in front of my audience. You invited me here and then invalidated my life. Valerie fires back. Support doesn't count when it comes with expectations, when it hinges on me healing the way you think I should. That's not fair, Drew insists. I just wanted a real conversation. A deeper conversation, the kind I have all the time on this show. Maybe that's the issue, Valerie says. You think depth means dismantling someone? Sometimes people just want to be heard. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is believe them. Drew wipes tears from her face, makeup smearing. I'm a talk show host. My job is to ask questions, get to the heart of things. If you didn't want that, why agree to come on? I came to talk about my work. My life now, Valerie responds. I didn't come to be your therapy subject. And the fact that you think this is what a real conversation looks like? That's deeply concerning. The audience is frozen, some whispering, others discreetly filming. This is no longer an interview. It's a reckoning. Drew steps closer, voice pleading. Please, let's just sit down. Start over. I know I messed up. Let me fix it. You don't fix this by pretending it didn't happen, Valerie says. You fix it by admitting you crossed a line. By acknowledging you don't know what's best for me. By respecting that I'm the authority on my own life. I do respect that, Drew says quickly. But sometimes people need to be challenged to grow. There's a difference between challenging and belittling, Valerie replies. You implied I'm stuck, that I'm clinging to pain. That my reaction proves something is wrong with me. That's not growth, that's judgment. I'm not judging you. Drew snaps. I'm tired of being accused of that when all I'm trying to do is connect. I show up raw, vulnerable, and this is what I get. This isn't about you, Valerie says sharply. But you keep making it about you. You've turned yourself into the victim and that tells me everything. I'm defending myself, Drew says. You're attacking me. I'm holding you accountable, Valerie replies. And clearly, that's something you're not used to. The tension warps. Drew's voice tightens. Maybe I overstepped. But maybe you're so invested in your past that you can't tolerate anyone questioning it. Maybe you've built your entire identity around being a victim and that's why this conversation scares you. The audience gasps. Drew's hand flies to her mouth. I didn't mean that. Yes, you did. Valerie says quietly. Her expression has gone completely still. You've believed that the whole time. And now you've finally said it out loud. I do care, Drew pleads. That's why this hurts. If you cared, Valerie answers evenly, You wouldn't have said it. She turns and walks off the stage. The click of her shoes against the floor is the only sound in the stunned silence. Drew stands there, tears streaming down her face, looking out at her audience with an expression of complete devastation. Her mouth opens and closes several times like she's trying to find words, but nothing comes. Finally, she turns to her producer and says something inaudible. He nods and signals to the crew. Drew looks back at where Valerie disappeared, then at the audience, then down at her hands.